life, nobody's gonna be a permanent friend. Nobody's gonna be a permanent enemy. Some enemies are permanent. You know, so like God and the devil. That enemy is permanent to the eternity. Some enemies are not permanent. You know. But you know what? You gotta watch out for your enemies. You gotta watch out for your friends too, because your friends can turn into enemies. I will tell you a story. In Jesus Christ, right? While he was on earth, you know, he did ministry for like 3 years. He had the 12 disciples, but within the 12, there's an enemy there. He knew who was as God. He knew who the enemy was, right? He knew the enemy, you know, like was Judas. You know what he said in the Bible, like, you know, one of you is the devil, right? That's what he said. One of you is the devil. So Judas had to play a role, and that role will condemn him to eternity. But Judas still let him be disciples, because if he moves Judas, if he had to move Judas out, but for the role he's going to play in the future, it's not going to do what he had to do, right? And Jesus probably will not be crucified. If Jesus was not sold or betrayed, he probably will not be crucified, right? So, in the end, Judas sold Jesus. And before Judas sold Jesus, he said in the table with the disciples in the Last Supper is this: person who sells the Son of Man, it will be better for him not to be born. It would be better for him not to be born. And he sold Jesus. He felt guilty. He returned the money to the Pharisees and Sadducees, right? And they couldn't take the money. He threw the money to the ground out of guilt, and went and hung himself. He killed himself out of guilt because he didn't believe God would forgive him. And Jesus said in the book of John 17, that Judas will be lost. Judas will be lost. He was lost in the end. So that's when it comes to enemies. Enemies at times are not visible. Enemies are not visible sometimes with us, you know. At times they can come hidden, with hidden motives. At times they can come as friends. At times they can be your enemy. They can be among your family. Yes. An example of the enemies you see, maybe see in the Bible, is the David and Goliath. No, David and Saul. David and Saul. Saul was seen as a mentor for, you know, Saul was seen as a mentor for David, but he was a bad mentor. I'm not talking about being a mentor to someone. If you're trying to kill them, you disqualify for those you're trying to mentor, because you wanted to kill him. So David ended up being, you know, king of Israel, crowned after Saul reigned for 40 years. Saul killed himself by suicide. Eventually, Saul killed himself. In the end, you know, hey, hi. Maybe some other time, not today, okay? Maybe if I do another live, you be my moderator, okay? Frankie 2PC, I see you. So, David knew he was an enemy. He ran from him. For 20-something years, David ran from King Saul because he probably would have killed him. But Saul died by suicide. Another enemy in the Bible is Israel and Egypt. Egypt suffered like 400 years in Egypt, right? You know, they complained to God. They was angry with God. At the end of the day, God sent Moses to get them out of slavery. And you know what happened? After like several tries, after like 9 plagues, God sent the 10th plague to kill the Egyptian sons. After that, the Israelites was let go. They took care of all the gold, took off all the golds they have, and gave it to them. In the end, Pharaoh still ended up wanting to kill them, wanted to kill those people. But at the end of the day, God helped Moses do a miracle which divided the seas, And the Israelites had to pass on dry land. And when the Egyptians were to come close to killing him, the sea covered them. So that was an example of an enmity. For now, I don't know if Israel and Egyptians are, are enemies now. Nobody can tell now. An enmity between God and the devil, And yes, once the devil was a chief cherubim, which is over the throne of God, right? And he was there. He controls the choir of heaven. He was the chief speaker. He had a very good mentor, and he messed it up. Sidebar though, I'll tell you, some of us had a good mentor, destiny helpers that will help us in life, and we messed it up. Because we wanted to be like our chief mentor, we wanted to be in their seat. I was one of those. So the devil, who was Lucifer, the light bringer, he wanted to be on the throne of God. He wanted to be more than God. What ended up happening is at the end of the day, what ended up happening was he ended up sabotaging himself, and he was thrown down because he wanted to take the throne of God, and nobody can take the throne of God ever. Nobody's more powerful than God. Another enemy we're going to have is the world and believers. So in this world, the world is full of sinners. There are sinners and there are believers. Believers are those who are sons of God, who believe in God, who are repented according to their ways and saved by His grace, baptized, filled with the Holy Spirit, with evidence of speaking in tongues. And there will be enmity. That's why, because a believer is not what the world is. The world is not what the believer is. There's always be a clash. Because of that clash, the believer will always be hated, persecuted for being different than the world. For the world, we live in the world as believers, but we are not of the world. The world is full of lawlessness, sin. But we are not full of lawlessness and sin. We are washing the blood of the Lamb and continue to walk in His ways. The question we're going to ask ourselves now: what do we do with our enemies, though? What are we going to do about your enemies? Enemies are everywhere. The devil, demons, people. The Bible says, love your enemies. Loving your enemies includes, wishing them well. Don't wish them bad. Don't wish anything happens to them, just like David did. Love your enemies. The second thing you have to do with your enemies is this: do good to them. Show them mercy. Another thing you have to do with your enemies, the third one is going to be that you leave vengeance to God. Don't hurt your enemies. Don't try to hurt your enemies physically. But when it comes to self-defense, trying to hurt your family, that's the only way I'll say it would apply. Another thing you have to do to your enemies, fight spiritually. At times, you have to fight those that work with your enemies. Demons work with your enemies. Demons do. They work with your enemies. They're trying to hurt you, one way or the other. So you have to work with God. Pray against demons that inflict their enemies. When you hurt demons, you won't be able to inflict your enemies that much. Another thing is you have to keep your distance. When Saul was chasing David, he kept his distance. Twice David came to hurt came close to hurting King Saul, but he didn't hurt King Saul. He showed them mercy. So keep your distance from your enemies. Protect your family. Keep your boundaries. So your enemies won't be able to invade you or to hurt you. They are going to try. But once you keep your boundaries, God will protect you too from them. If you believe in God. God will show you all the red flags, all the clues you need to know. When the enemy raises their evil head, God will help you. God will fight for you as a believer. You stay blessed.